All right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 2, and 1. I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
Welcome back to Politics Unplugged, the podcast. And today I'm joined by Colin Stanton, producer extraordinaire.
Always a pleasure.
Dude, it's you and me this week, man.
Yeah, we're going back to basics. We're stripping it down.
Carrying the mantle is
it's like the Rick Rubin version. We're just going to, two of us strip down, going acoustic today.
Just you and I, man.
Yeah.
Dealing with the holiday vibes. It seems like everybody is just leaving town or just coming up with excuses, so they're not very available right now. And look, man, I get it. I want to be there too, man.
Yeah. No, if I had my choice of not being available, I probably wouldn't be available.
I know, right? I was.
Yeah. So you and me.
You and me, man. I like it. I like the duck gear.
Thank you.
That you're wearing.
The number one seeded Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's good stuff. And normally when we start talking, we talk about, I ask you what your big political moment story of the week was. But before we get to that, I do want to start by asking you this because, listeners of this podcast know we are no stranger to mixing sports and politics.
No, we're not.
Here. So I want to get your take on the Ohio state legislature, the lawmaker out there in the old Buckeye state. Wants to make it a felony to plant your flag, an opposing team to plant their flag on the middle of the field of the Horseshoe in Columbus.
Yeah.
A Class 5 felony, man. If you did that, you face the possibility of going to prison.
Yeah.
Prison, man.
They just look like clowns. I mean, you look like absolute clowns. And I get the NCAA has to do something.
Yeah.
You can't allow this to happen because if you're the home team and the opposing team beats you and then plants the flag at midfield, you have to fight.
Yeah.
There's no other option. You have to fight them. It's just you can't just go, well, they did beat us.
Yeah.
Or
you can win the game.
I get that, but I mean, it's hard to justify absolutely everything when you have to win the game. And if they plant the flag, you've got to fight them.
Yeah.
So the NCAA has to crack down on the flag planting because that one Saturday was crazy. It started with that, and then it seemed like every other game, even the
ASU the territorial
game, they stuck the.
I felt like it set the tone, and maybe there was a little copycatting going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of copycat. Having said that, for the state legislature to get involved, you just look like losers, just losers. And I saw someone making the point that in Ohio, like if that actually comes up to a vote, those guys pretty much have to vote for it.
You can't be seen as the anti-Buckeye guy.
No.
Unless you're like, your district is in the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Or your district is in Ohio University or something like that. Maybe you'll get a no vote there or something like that. But dude, if you're the guy from Columbus, you're voting for this.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you imagine the primaries in there, if you voted against that, won't stand for your Buckeyes.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a deal.
He's
there.
pro-Wolverine.
He's pro.
You can't be the pro-Wolverine candidate if you're in Ohio.
That seems like a thing.
Yeah. I just want to say as an Oregon alum, come try that at our field. You're going to break your wrist. That's artificial turf.
Well, that's the other thing, too. You're not really planting the flag there.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I wish more people could be more civilized like the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Big Ten.
Or just let them fight. I mean, it was kind of fun.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe if they start fighting afterwards, then it's like what's that from? Face a deal, break a deal, face the wheel. Mad Max, Thunderdome.
Oh yeah.
It's just 100 players enter the field, only one leaves. Like you're only allowed one person to walk off the field.
We're going to rollerball. But yeah, no, I mean the NCAA I think will probably go to something similar to the big fines for storming the field.
Well, and the coaches need to be held responsible too.
And yeah, I mean they tried to do it in the Texas game, and Sarkisian said, "No, we're not doing this. Get away from the logo."
Yeah, well,
you needed that, and as opposed to Ryan Day, who stood there dazed,
like asking,
sure what was happening.
"Did you see him like Ryan Day, the Ohio State coach? Like, what happened?" Like, way to go. You're on top of it.
Yes.
You're on top of it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like Dillingham for ASU, they started, doing some of that stuff, and he took charge of that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And ended that.
Yeah.
So,
that's
but apparently, Ohio State and Michigan proved that they can't police themselves, so somebody needs to step in.
No. Yeah.
Because it was that weekend. It was like every game ended that way.
Yeah. And I think that kicked it off. That was the one that,
set the tone and all that. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like it's and I get you're getting a headline. You're trying to get a headline out of it if you're a lawmaker, but I feel like too a lot of lawmakers in Arizona and across the country just have really forgotten what legislating is.
Yes, it's the ultimate goal should not be to go viral on Twitter.
And that's the goal now.
Or to get your 5-minute segment on Fox News.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all it is. Legislating seems to be an afterthought at best.
Yeah, and I've talked
and that goes for the Congress too. There are plenty of people there who are nothing but trying to get on the cable news shows.
Oh, well, look at them. There are folks that just go there, make a name for themselves on social media and introduce and file 0 pieces of legislation.
Yeah.
We could name names.
Yes.
It's not, one party doesn't have a monopoly on that garbage.
No. No.
But there are plenty of them out there. But like it's sad that way, and it points to that larger picture that there. I mean, I've spoken with former lawmakers, Arizona lawmakers, who are concerned about this.
Yeah.
And they would tell you that, filing legislation is, part of your job, but it's almost like the last thing you want to do. You want to work for your constituents and see if you can't work out a problem.
Yeah.
Without putting law.
Yes.
Without making new law.
Yeah.
I mean, every year, a couple thousand bills are dropped at the legislature. It's just, and a lot of them, and we've been wanting to do a story on this for the TV show and air this, are just headline grabbers.
Yeah.
They grab headlines like that, or I bet you that Ohio State lawmaker or that Ohio lawmaker probably raised a lot of money off that.
Yeah,
probably there's probably an email that went right after that saying I'm fighting for our Buckeyes.
Yeah,
and probably got some money donated to him because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what a lot of these bills are. I mean, there's a couple of folks down at the legislature. They just filed this insane pieces of legislation. And, it's like you get the fundraising email almost the exact time the bill is filed.
Hey, man, those balloons aren't going to police themselves.
Kavanaugh's a different breed, though. Like Senator John. People get it wrong. Like when I say, the media, that we've got some sort of an agenda. My agenda is, I like it when people call us and talk to us and give us good soundbite. That's why I love John Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Not because of anything he does politically or philosophically, is that John Kavanaugh will file legislation and he will come and talk about it and he won't hold back.
Yes. and one of them this time around, balloon releases.
Yes. That was released.
Yes.
No more than 12, 13?
I think it was no more than 12 balloons released at a time.
Yeah. And maybe that's an issue. I haven't done any reporting on this.
It is a legitimate environmental concern. It's just another one of those things where you see that in the bill and go, no more than 12 balloons, huh? Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean, they're concerned about that, but that they've expanded the number of firework days in a desert that's been in a 30-year drought.
That's going to end in a shooting in my neighborhood before too long.
Oh boy.
No, it's we have a guy who likes to blow off illegal stuff, and people immediately downwind who take issue.
Okay.
We've had a few tense holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I saw that. I just was after I was laughing hysterically for a while. It's just like, and regular listeners of the show know that I am born and raised in Iowa, Hawkeye, and I cannot stand Ohio State. Like there are a lot of teams I don't like. I really don't like Penn State.
Yeah,
for different reasons. I can't stand Ohio State. Yeah. Their fans are arrogant and annoying, and and they're just so privileged.
Yeah,
like it's just like a 10-2 season. It's like the world has ended.
Oh, they're talking about firing, right?
Yeah,
they're wondering if Day's going to survive this.
You're an Oregon fan.
Can I tell you how fun it's been in our first year in the Big Ten? To knock out Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State.
I know, it's great.
It's been amazing.
But like you were an Oregon fan back when they were winning 3 games a year.
Oh yeah, no, I remember when they went to after I graduated, they went to their first bowl game. I think in my lifetime, they were thrilled. It was 6-5, and it was like a magical year. It was a dream season. They've gotten a little better since then. But yeah, no, Oregon was terrible when I was in school.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't pass legislation just to make them perform better back then. Is that coming? When is that coming?
That might be. I don't know.
That's that down the road. I'm passing legislation mandating that Arizona State win 10 games a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot, Ohio State. And have fun with that. But that being said, man, what is the big political moment of the week for you?
So I found Trump talking about grocery prices amusing. And the background of this is his campaign relied very heavily on you vote for me immediately, your grocery prices are coming down. Your energy prices will be cut in half in the first year. We're cutting prices on everything. And he just did an interview, I think, with Time magazine, where they asked him about bringing down grocery prices, and his answer was, "Well, that'd be hard. So
yeah,
we're not actually going to do that because it would be hard to do that." And at some point, he shared an anecdote, and people love the sharing the anecdote of the person in a bad place that they learned about, and to help illustrate their story. And his was the poor mom who went to the grocery store and was buying 3 apples. And then she went to the checkout stand and found out how much they are. So he said that she had to take one of the apples and go back and put it back in the refrigerator. And again, if politicians have never set foot in a grocery store, stop sharing stories about the grocery store. Just don't do it. Everyone who hears that is going, refrigerator?
Yeah, that's kind of like a George W. Bush moment.
Yeah.
Remember him back in like 80 or 92?
Yeah. Was it W or was it his dad?
HW.
Yeah, who was astounded by the scanner.
Yes. He'd like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, those are like years,
and that is like, they don't put apples in the fridge. There's a bucket there.
There's a produce section. Yeah, with just piles of apples.
Well, it just kills me all the time because, like, it's like voters need to know that presidents don't control the economy.
Yeah,
I mean, they can fuck it up.
Yeah,
they can do things that fuck things up.
Yes,
but they don't command the economy. You know who had a command economy? The fucking Soviets.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you want a president with that kind of power, then you're talking what? You're talking communism, right? Or at least a dictatorship.
Yes.
They don't have that kind of power. They can't set prices. That is set by the free market.
Yes.
And just like gasoline prices. I mean, those can be inflated artificially and whatnot. But a lot of that happens outside the boundaries of the United States. No matter how self-sufficient we become, and we're drilling more oil now than ever.
Yes.
There is still a global oil market that you have to purchase oil on, and those prices are dependent upon what's being done in the OPEC countries.
Yeah.
As well as what's being done here. Presidents get far too much credit when the economy is good, and probably most of the time too much blame when it goes bad.
Yeah.
Again, you can really screw up an economy.
Yeah.
But you can't wave a magic wand and fix it.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
No. Still funny to campaign on the prices will drop immediately, and then before you even take office,
I know.
No, that'd be hard. We're not doing that.
Well, and we had chatted about, probably won't do this, but we were going to have on the show, like a weekly eggometer.
Yeah. Everyone complains about the price of eggs, and so just have like a little animated eggometer.
Yeah,
we can look at the price of eggs that week.
Yeah,
and I keep seeing people saying like eggs are $7, quoting these, and I'm thinking I paid $2.99 this week. What?
Look, I admittedly like I don't have kids. I'm not married. When I go to the grocery store, like I need a half dozen eggs.
Yeah.
It's not really like I'm, I guess, fortunate or unfortunate. Yeah. JD Vance would say unfortunate. I'm single with no kids.
Yeah.
But I'm fortunate. Like my bills, I didn't really notice it a whole lot.
Yeah.
Where I do notice it if I go like out to eat a little, during the week or something. That's where I was like, oh wow, stuff's gotten a lot more expensive.
Yeah. A lot of restaurants have really gone up.
Yeah, and I know that it's kind of a privilege when I go out to eat. But
no, it's true.
But
restaurant prices have skyrocketed in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So, let's break down some of our favorite news stories of the week. I think I thought that Trump story was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
and I don't see the outrage from people who voted for him.
No, I mean
he campaigned on that.
Yeah, but they didn't. That's not why they voted for him.
I know. But some of the let's bring it back locally here. Kari Lake, right? She's the new ambassador of Mexico. That happened this week, right?
No, I believe we were told it was going to happen.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
No, with some question over who it was telling people that was going to happen. I think
it was an anonymous source.
It was like a Larry Cake to quietly spread word that Kari Lake was going to. I mean, I can't prove
Larry
that. But
it's Larry Cake here, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So that word spread quickly and then didn't happen. And then I think the Lake campaign laughed at those who would report that such a thing would happen, as if there's no chance that they were the source of the reports.
I know,
that
right?
It's
so disingenuous.
Yes.
I'm going to put this bullshit rumor out there.
Yeah.
And then when somebody bites, I'm going to call them out on that. We didn't do the story.
Yeah.
We did not do that.
No,
story.
we didn't.
I mean, if they did, it wasn't me or you.
Yeah. No.
But we did not report that because, we're trying to get away from that kind of reporting. It's like, wait, when she's named to something, we'll report that.
Yeah.
And she was named to something this week.
Yeah, the director of Voice of America.
Yeah.
Which led to a whole lot of people Googling Voice of America to figure out what it was because people didn't really know. And then it turns out, Trump doesn't actually appoint the director of the Voice of America, which is the international news thing for the U.S. And traditionally not a propaganda outlet.
No.
Typically it's a news outlet.
And it's headed by the guy who, I forget his name, the guy who currently heads it right now, spent like 25 years at the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Real journalism chops.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yeah. We're trying to move away from that now at the Voice of America.
And look, man, like I always said, look, I mean, being an anchor on TV.
Yeah.
People love to poke fun at them, that they're just news readers and whatnot. Well, A, it's a skill.
Yeah.
And B, there have been some great anchors that I've worked with that's got really serious news chops out there. You know, so, that doesn't necessarily preclude you. I wonder if Kari Lake was like that. That's my only question.
I don't recall a lot of reporting, but I could,
I don't remember her breaking news
that Fox 10 viewer. I work at a different station, so
I don't remember her ever breaking news that we all had to follow.
No,
I mean, we would know that, or that led to changes in legislation, or led to,
The last big breaking thing I remember her reporting was that Red for Ed was all just a ruse for weed.
Oh boy, you got to go back to that, don't you?
I mean, that was sort of the time where everyone
was that
went,
on TV or was that like a Twitter thing? I can't remember.
It was mostly a Twitter thing, and then people started posting stuff making fun of her, and she didn't realize they were making fun of her, so she started quoting those posts as proof that it was all a ruse just to get the demon weed legalized.
The demon weed.
Yeah. I think specifically on a Reddit thread, someone posted a Green for Ed thing as a joke that like the whole Red for Ed. Yeah, it's all about marijuana, so we're Green for Ed.
Yeah.
And then she posted that saying, "See, I told you." Yeah.
I mean, like, it seems like, but this pick here for that, again, there's questions. We've seen questions about whether or not Trump can actually make this appointment.
Right.
The assumption is whoever they install in this place, the person who needs Senate confirmation that would be ultimately Kari Lake's boss, would probably fall in line. I think Marcus Dellartino, friend of the TV show, mentioned that those confirmations can take a long time.
In Trump's first term, it took 2 years to get that position confirmed. Again, he, he's got more of a roll over and rub my belly kind of Senate. Yeah. This time around,
100%.
I don't think he's going to have much trouble getting anyone.
100%.
I mean, you have to be a hell of a lot more out there to have any trouble with this Senate, I think,
100%.
in getting confirmation.
But, I mean, but is this, like, is this just a weak consolation prize? I mean, again, you see other supporters getting ambassadorships and posts in the cabinet. I've made the reference to Glenn Ross that, like, well, a lot of other people are getting Cadillacs. She's getting a set of steak knives.
Yes. Well, third place was you're fired, so it's better than that. Yeah, it doesn't. Look, if you've kissed up to Trump as hard as she has for 4 years, and doing the whole vacuuming the carpet thing and all of that, and the end result of that is you get a gig in charge of something where a huge percentage of the American public is having to Google it to figure out what the hell it is.
Yeah.
That's probably not great. People were talking vice president, and then when he didn't pick her, people were talking, press secretary or some other thing. No, director of Voice of America.
Yeah, it's went from vice president just a steady downward shift. But I did look. I mean, it's a good paying gig. The director, I looked at and what I found was like my one Google search. Because that's what we're all about here. It's hardcore journalism. I did one Google search on this, and it looked like there was a price range or a salary range for that job was between $114,000 and $190-some thousand a year. Not bad.
No,
not a bad gig for you and I. But she had an anchor contract for a big station here before.
Yeah, and I think it's probably been doing okay for herself since leaving that. And
yeah.
Does she have to actually show up for it? Just asking.
I'm just saying. I mean, I know our news directors show up every day.
True. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good question. It's a good question. And we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah. 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 That was not. I mean, we had all sort of been speculating on what was next, and I don't think anyone had director of Voice of America.
No, I certainly didn't. But I think it's also more proof that at least for now she's done with campaigning and electoral politics.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? You already lost twice.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got it. Unless you're going to move to Arkansas. If you go to like one of the reddest states there is and start running for Congress, you can probably do that. I don't know how badly she wants it. I think she probably wants the attention more than she wants the job. And I don't know that she's going to make that sort of commitment.
No. Well, we'll find out on that. Another big story this week that I found really interesting. We did a story on this, was the school security and school safety plans.
Yeah.
just an amazing, disturbing audit came out. They looked at close to 50, 60 schools, randomly sampled. There's over 2,000 in Arizona, and found that none of them, zero, met the safety standards, safety emergency plan standards. And then some charter schools had no plans to deal with an emergency at all.
Yeah. It's terrible.
I was astounded by that. And, Arizona has been spared, thank God, for any kind of Columbine incident or something like that. But like when you start seeing an audit like that, that's real concern.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky that we've avoided a high casualty thing like that. It's concerning, man. It's such a failure of our generation. It kills me to think that I sent my kids to school through an era where they had to legitimately think about these kind of things.
Yeah.
And you almost, I think it's easy to forget how much that can weigh on them. Because when my youngest was still in high school, there was a rash where everyone was getting threats, and their school was getting a lot of threats.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all knew it was sort of like a bullshit national thing, but it was still out there. And the threats were supposed to be something that's going to happen at lunch. And then during lunch, there's a fire drill. Someone pulled the fire alarm. And my kid knows enough about these things now. He's like, yeah, that's when these things happen. I'm out of here. And he just turned around and walked home, calling us saying, hey, I'm on my way home. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And he's an even-keeled, smart kid, not,
Yeah, and you're not going to be thinking he's just looking for a way to get out of school.
No, and he's not a panicker. And it just hit me like, God, he has to think about this stuff. And he's right. That is how they do it. Yeah. And I, was proud of him for making that decision. And it's
a good decision, man.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing for someone of my generation to think, God, this is what we've left them?
Yeah.
They have to deal with this?
Yeah. Well, Columbine is what? Almost 26 years ago.
Yeah. And it's just, hasn't gotten any better.
And by law, by Arizona law, that they've had to, since 2000, have had by law to have an emergency plan in place. But there's no law that says you have to follow up and make sure that happens. And Tom Horn, superintendent of public instruction, the T-Horn, says there's two people who reviews those plans. That's part of their job. It's not their full-time job.
Yeah.
Part of their job. The same Auditor General report looked at other states like Texas. Texas has dozens of people, like close to 90 people whose job is to review these plans, this department. And that department that reviews these plans and makes sure they're up to spec and up to code and all up to standard is funded with $16 million to do that. I mean, this is something I would think that the legislature would like to, bust their ass on and start working on ASAP.
You would like to think that, yes.
But instead, we're seeing they're dealing with trans bills in schools.
Yeah.
Balloons.
Yes.
And trying to speed up an election because people are irritated that they don't finish the count faster.
Yeah.
They'd rather get it finished up. Which to me, and I don't want to get too much of a digression there, but it's I'm sorry you're irritated that it takes so long, but wouldn't you rather get it right? And now because you want, faster election results, you may be changing the way and inconveniencing yourself even more. But that's another discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. They're inconveniencing voters they would like to inconvenience in a lot of cases, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but instead of addressing this and saying look, get your ass on this.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that these people are following through on this. And apparently some charter schools they found. And again, there were no names of schools on there. And I don't want it to be like every school out there fails this, but the ones they randomly sampled,
looked at fails.
47 of them, I think, or close to 50 of them failed.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
And, there's over 2,000 schools in Arizona, and people should be making sure there are emergency plans in place to protect the safety of the kid. And it's not just a school shooter mass casualty event, too. There are gas leaks, other issues that pop up, severe weather maybe. I mean, one campus had to implement its emergency plan in Mesa because a javelina was running around on campus, according to this report.
Yeah.
Only in Arizona.
Yeah.
So you'd think that they would want to get on this ASAP, and I just don't feel that there's any urgency to do it.
No. Sadly, I don't get the feeling that improving public schools on any level is on the agenda in the Capitol. So, yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Well, and then the thing is, they went to and this is getting into this big philosophical, and they're trying to move people over to these private schools with these ESA stuff.
Yeah.
This is a good segue into this ESA stuff. And once you start going into the private school sector, then you as a parent are very limited on rights on what you know and what you can know.
Yes.
I mean, right now you can't go, you can't really go online and find out how well private schools perform.
No.
Compared to public schools or other schools. I mean, you just have to believe them. I mean, I'm sure a kid at Brophy gets an A+ education.
Yeah.
But what about other ones? I don't know.
Yes.
And that does lead us to this other story of the week, the ESA program where Tom Horn says he's just going to rubber stamp every request for an ESA scholarship up to $2,000, correct?
Yeah. Free money. If you put in for it, $2,000, it's yours. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to, because, hey, what's $2,000?
What could go wrong?
Yeah. And anyone who remembers the alt fuels situation in Arizona has some idea of what can go wrong.
God, could you just give up the alt fuels, Colin? I mean, I think it's time we move on from that.
When you start giving away money and people actually start stepping up to collect it, it gets expensive, as the state has learned in the past.
Yeah.
The notion that if you ask for $2,000 or less, there are no questions asked, they'll just cut you the check. That's fairly appalling. But here we are. Here we
are, man. That was money that was supposed to be going anyway. It's crazy that he would do that. And and Tom Horn for his entire career has always been about taxpayer accountability and all this other stuff. And look, I trust most people are going to be doing this, but I don't trust all of them.
No. And the reality is, if the legislature takes up this topic, they're going to be looking to raise that.
Probably.
It's not going to be $2,000.
Oh man. Well. And also wanted to hit this other thing we had a bit of fun with. Arizona lawmaker, Congressman Eli Crane.
Yeah.
In an interesting moment this past week, he had recommended, I want to get this right, Daniel Penny for the Congressional Gold Medal Award. Now, this is the highest civilian award that Congress can hand out. And who is Daniel Penny? He's the guy who choked out somebody on a subway in New York City. It took 5 minutes and the guy dies.
Yeah.
And he was acquitted of murder this week by a jury trial. But here you go. He's a former Marine, but here you go. You got Eli Crane stepping forward and saying he deserves a congressional gold medal.
Yeah. So the week that the right is attacking the left, saying the left is trying to make a hero of the guy who killed the CEO, is also the week there, at least someone on the right wants to give a medal to a guy for choking out a homeless dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And look, I mean, he choked the guy out. The guy died. He had a trial. And he was acquitted.
And he's acquitted. And by all accounts, the guy he choked out was being a pest on the subway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not that familiar, but there was a trial. He was acquitted by a jury of his peers.
And end
of case. But that doesn't mean he needs a fucking, the highest award that Congress can give out to you.
Yes. It seems like it should probably go to someone whose accomplishment is greater than choking out a homeless guy on a train.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, it's this ugly kind of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It's just it's pretty ugly. And again, At the same time, you have a lot of folks saying we shouldn't be celebrating CEO side, the murder of the CEO guy, Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
The country shouldn't be doing that. Wants to make a hero out of this other guy. It's a great point.
Yeah.
And it does bring us to the other and final story we really want to talk about because it's been fascinating.
Yeah.
Is the guy who did kill that United Healthcare CEO. I mean, has become
allegedly killed,
has become a damn folk hero, modern day folk hero. That I'm struggling to come up with a comparison. I mean, you got to go back to the 1920s with the bank robbers with Dillinger or whatever like that for this kind of a folk
Bonnie
hero.
And Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Robin Hood.
Stop.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. And I mean, it has exposed the absolute deep level of hatred for insurance companies and the healthcare system in this country.
Mm-hmm.
The company issued a social media tribute to their CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And of the first, I want to say the number was the first 62,000 responses they got.
Laugh emojis?
57,000 were laugh emojis.
I want to be clear. You and I are not celebrating this guy's death. At least I'm not. Yeah, I know you're not.
No.
And look, I get that.
But man, people are angry. And he was the head of a company whose basic business plan was take lots of money in premiums, refuse to cover everything. And they had, I think, they have a terrible rate of coverage. United Healthcare is
by one account I saw, they denied nearly 1/3 of the claims. It was like 32%, 1/3 of their claims.
Yes. So letting people suffer and die so they could provide value for shareholders. Some people take issue with that.
Yeah, and for some people they take issue with him. For some people they take issue for it because it's extremely personal to them.
And in this case, apparently the guy had back surgery that he had been struggling with.
Yeah.
And was in a pretty bad place.
You know, and that's why I was kind of astounded this past week when we saw the Phil Boas column in the Republic saying that we shouldn't be discussing this now in a civilized society. Like, no, what?
Yeah.
Like you've got to be kind of willfully ignorant to not understand why people are upset about this.
Yes.
Again, not celebrating this at all.
But I understand where it's coming from? Hell yes, I understand where it's coming from.
Yes. And it doesn't take much to figure out where this is coming from.
Yeah.
And like, look, I kind of think some of the stuff is kind of ugly out there celebrating a guy's murder, but you've got to make an effort to understand why this has happened. This wasn't just just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, no.
There's and again, United was one of the worst out there. And I just didn't understand that column, him saying like, we shouldn't be discussing this now.
Yeah, it's
like, what?
Yeah. The constant, don't politicize this thing by actually discussing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think now is the time to do this.
Yeah.
And watching the CEOs of other companies, particularly healthcare companies, all of a sudden run and start hiring security has been amazing.
Well, and about 2 days later, Blue Cross Blue Shield announced that the plan they were rolling out in certain states where if your surgery ran a little long, they weren't going to cover the anesthesia. You know, move it along. If it's a long surgery, you don't need anesthesia for that, so we're not going to cover it. Yeah. They backed off on that about 2 days after this guy got shot.
Yeah. I mean, and shame on them for them having to go through this crucible to make that decision.
Yes.
I mean, this is what happens when you start doing, running certain things for profit.
Yeah.
I mean, you cut corners.
Yeah.
On this to make an extra buck, and people are sick of it.
Yes.
And again, I just can't stress enough that we're not celebrating that, but you understand the frustration and the anger that is out there, particularly for certain people out there. If they had a loved one or someone close to them that was denied, life saving care or even life-changing kind of treatments. Something like you didn't die, but they're not going to cover this thing, this procedure, this medication or whatever that could enhance the quality of your life. You're going to be pissed about this.
Yes.
And it's going to be hard pressed for you to take sympathy from a guy who's been leading those decisions, again, to squeeze every buck they can out of you to make their shareholders a little bit of money.
Yeah. Now, if you're a business where the business model is it makes greater financial sense to let people die than to actually help them when you've been taking in millions and millions of dollars to help them, that's horrifying. I mean,
doctors aren't even happy with United Healthcare. I've spoken with some. I'm like, nobody is. Except shareholders.
And there was one thing that went viral was a letter from a doctor to United Healthcare after United Healthcare denied a small child with cancer the anti-nausea drugs that he prescribed the kid.
Jesus Christ!
They didn't think it. A little kid with cancer, just let him be nauseated. But the CEO was worth about $43 million, I think. So it paid off nicely there.
$43 billion gets you a lot in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Man, well, you want to end it on that? Happy holidays, everybody! Jeez.
I think we're back next week.
Yeah,
for one.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think we'll do a pod next week.
Got any fun holiday plans this coming week? I know you're going to a basketball game to see Bronny James.
Yeah. Hopefully seeing Bronny. Yeah, I've actually. We're taping this on Friday, and I'll be at the Valley Suns South Bay Lakers game.
Nice
tonight. And Bronny was not traveling with the Lakers, but actually did this weekend. So he played last night, had 30 points for the Lakers, which good for him. Didn't see that coming. I'm presuming he will play again tonight, so I will see him then if he does. It would seem to make more sense to keep him here to actually play than to fly him to Minnesota for the Laker game tonight so he can sit on the bench and not play. But not much of what they've done with him has made sense to me so far, so who knows? But yeah, been to a few of those games. They're fun. The G League games are a lot of fun.
I am my big plans this weekend is I think we're going to meet some friends for some tamales and some sweet Mexican beer.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Solid plan, yeah. All right.
Hang out, do that kind of thing. And do you have any predictions on the Suns? There's a big trade rumor right now. Jimmy Butler coming to Phoenix.
Trade rumors like this drive me up the wall because
but they need something to talk about.
They do.
Sports journalism.
And the bottom line is it cannot happen. It's technically impossible, virtually impossible for the trade to happen. It's not going to happen. Under the new CBA, it's incredibly restrictive. They don't want teams who are spending a huge amount on their salary to make it easy to keep making moves. Yeah. They're trying to keep everyone under the cap. And since they're over the apron, and I think the Heat are over the apron, I believe the only way the trade could actually happen is if they can trade Jimmy Butler for someone on the Suns who makes down to the penny the exact same amount that Jimmy Butler does. And I mean, good luck. And I mean, maybe Bradley Beal does, but are the Heat trading Jimmy Butler for Bradley Beal, and is Beal agreeing to the trade? Because I think he still has a no trade clause. It's it's something to talk about. And Butler, it sounds like there's a good chance he'll be moving somewhere. It ain't going to be the Suns. Yeah. There's no option to trade him to the Suns. The Suns have come out and said, "Yeah, no, we can't do this."
I mean, Suns fans have been frustrated with this Big Three team because it just hasn't delivered.
No,
and I think Suns fans are excited thinking about this concept, but like you're laying out there, it ain't happening. Don't get your hopes up.
And if you want to get your hopes up for something, when the Big Three have actually played this year, they've looked pretty darn good.
Yeah.
When Durant's on the floor, Suns are pretty good. So hope that Durant's on the floor. That's your hope as a Suns fan. If he's on the floor, they've got a pretty high ceiling.
Yeah.
But it's not going to involve Jimmy Butler. There is no. They can't even add up salaries to trade him. It's not like they could trade 3 guys for Jimmy Butler.
No.
They're not allowed to do that because of where they are salary wise. It has to be a 1-for-1 and it has to be exact. You can't do it.
All right.
Yeah.
And my big thing, I think I'll reveal here for the first time ever, at least publicly, I'm starting to lose my confidence in Kyler Murray. I just don't have the energy to defend him anymore.
No. Yeah, it gets hard.
I mean, I just love watching him play, and he's so talented and can do so many wonderful things.
Yeah.
But he's a September, October quarterback.
At his best, he's terrific. At his best, he's really good. And he is very skilled. He's got a great arm, all that.
But this last 3 weeks has just killed me.
Yeah. The judgment is not always there.
No.
There are a lot of terrible passes.
Yep.
And a lot of them come in situations where it looks like he's just going, oh, what the hell? I'll throw it.
Yeah.
When, discretion would tell you that throwing it away or doing literally anything other than what he's choosing to do. And he looks like he knows it, but he's going to throw it anyway. What the hell?
It just bums me out because the Cardinals don't have any other option. I see Cardinal fans like, they should trade him. Like, for who?
Yeah.
Who's better?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like, again, I'm just saying it's hard to defend him now, and I'm just being kind of disappointed in the whole thing. But there's nobody out there better, and that's the frustrating part.
That's the thing. It's really hard to find a quarterback. It's an incredibly difficult position. The way the game has progressed, there are very few people who can play it well.
No.
There's not enough to go around.
No.
You can you can say get rid of him and then hope you draft someone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Look at Caleb Williams this year. I mean, the Chicago Bears fans thought he was going to lead them to a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Get real, man.
Yeah, he's starting to look okay.
No, and look, and I thought they should have given him a lot more leeway because all of a sudden, like by week 4 or 5, they're judging him. It's like if any pro sport, I think the quarterback is the most important position of all pro sports, and the most difficult position.
Yes. Yeah. And if anyone thinks the Cardinals should scrap it and start over, well, they've done that a few times. They got him Josh Rosen. And then that lasted 1 year. And then it got him Kyler Murray, who's the guy that
you're stuck with now.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing. It's like a little, it's frustrating. It's just, he can't win the big game. He needs to show he can win the big game. And just the past 3 weeks, he failed. And, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I could see them laying a big old turd against the Patriots. Or I could see them actually just going in there and just blowing them out of the water. But
and the Patriots are not good, so you would hope for that.
So if you blow them out of the water, it still won't erase that narrative about him being the guy who can't win the big one.
Yeah,
the little quarterback that can't win the big game.
Yeah. And yes, they're stuck with him. There's no other option out there. A lot of teams find themselves in this position where fans start saying they should be looking somewhere else because this guy can't win it. And because the Cowboys are doing the same thing with Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Well, who else you got?
Yeah. Mahomes is not available.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is not available.
No. Every once in a while, you can get someone off the scrap heap and they'll play pretty well, but it doesn't mean they're going to be better than who you've got. No one thought Sam Darnold would be doing what he's doing in Minnesota.
Yeah,
but good luck making that work, man. Yeah, I mean, if Carson Wentz is out there, if you want to try that, history would suggest it's not going to work. But hey, Sam Darnold worked, so maybe lightning strikes twice. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I'm happy I don't have the emotional commitment to the Cardinals you do, because it would. There are times when it would be frustrating.
Well, it's almost like you just get used to it, and it's like the biggest insult you can toss at the Cardinals is just is saying, "Well, same old Cardinals."
Yeah, they would like to move beyond that. Yes,
it's just like. They've shown they can be okay, but they're not as dysfunctional as the fucking New York Jets.
No, the Jets and the Giants are both
but they're not extremely functional. I also had a lot of hope in this new coaching staff, but they need to turn it around this week.
This would be a good time to do it. And look, they're better than they used to be. They're not.
Yeah, 100%.
But time to keep moving up the ladder.
Yep. With that, we'll end it right there. I think we've rambled long enough.
Probably have, yeah.
Good luck. So at the end, they usually pull a segment to air on Friday for television. Good luck pulling 2 minutes out of this one, huh?
Yeah, that's what I get to do now. Yeah, we may not be filling the 2 minutes. It might be a little short this week.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tune in at 3 and find out.
All right. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.